maybe it'll work this time. Maybe, perhaps not. Okay. Well, I don't know why this isn't working. Is it? Now it is. It's working. Yay, fantastic. Okay, now it's actually showing that I'm streaming on here. So, I don't know. The sound isn't working. I'm not sure what anybody is seeing at all, besides me being super awkward in front of the camera, which is usually what happens. So let me go and let me see if I can see that. So I can see. Go and that's me. Sweet. And it's been a while. So a lot has been happening. A lot has been going on since we moved. So the last time I made a video where I sat down and actually chatted was before we moved, and we were trying to sell the house. So a lot has happened. We finally sold the old house. We had about a 2-week window to pack up our whole house and move up the East Coast all the way up north from living in Florida. So now we're settled, and we've had a full year here of unpacking, adjusting, and getting used to stuff. And fairly certain that we're still not kind of 100% adjusted, but way better than before. So better than, obviously when we first moved in. So here we are. There was a lot to do. We moved in right before Christmas, and then Christmas happened, and we found a bat in the attic apartment on Christmas Day, to which proceeded to the whole series of rabies vaccinations for everyone in the family. And then when we finally finished that, then we had, I got to go to the ER again because I fell down the stairs and broke my toe, but rolled my ankle on the other side, and everything was just a mess. So it took a while before I was actually up and walking, and it's been a year, not a year yet since it healed, but it's been a year since that happened, and it's still painful to walk. So that's cool. It's not really cool, but that's sarcasm. Anyway, so that's where we're at. So in that, when I broke that and I wasn't able to walk and I wasn't able to unpack and do a lot of the things that I wanted to get done, then I resubbed to WoW. And it had been a really long time since I had a sub to WoW, in a long time. But it was cool because it's something for Andy and I to do together. And we enjoyed doing that, and we started to get back into arenas, and it was a long time since we played arenas. We played them back in a couple of seasons back in the first season they ever had arenas back in TBC, and we hadn't played really since then at all, and we never really played too much threes because 3v3 with a third partner on the team. We hadn't really played a lot then because we didn't have really a third. But funny enough, one of the kiddos, decided he really got into WoW, and he became our threes partner for when we play threes. We have another friend, and if he's watching, maybe he'll be watching later at some point. We play with him, and he's awesome. We don't always get the time to coordinate with people outside of us because, Andy works really hard all day. And then when we do get the time to play, it's just a couple hours a day. So it's not really a lot of time to push for stuff and to practice a lot, where a lot of people get a lot of time to practice. And we don't necessarily get a lot of time to practice compared to other people. So I try to keep it not so push hard. Make sure it's fun. So we're always keeping focus on having fun and doing that kind of thing. So it's been fun to get into that, and we even had another one of the kids join us to play some threes when she was trying to get some of the transmogs and appearances unlocked, because last season she really liked those. So that was cool. So that's basically a lot of what we've been doing lately with the adjustments, and that's what we can do. So anyway, I'm in the new my new office. This is my new workspace, and I can't really because I don't really have a camera. This is on the laptop, but you can see this is my. I have two whole rooms that are just mine now. This is a mess, though. It's a lot of boxes, but you can kind of see the door out. I'm upstairs. I get two whole rooms, um, and then yeah, this is my studio. I kind of ducked and hide and showed off. I got most of it's like unpacked and stuff, but it needs to be organized a lot more. And then so the room adjoining um, is for sewing, and so I have all of my sewing machines. I have a serger sewing machine set up, a couple of shelving units in there, but most of the fabric and paint and canvas and everything else is in here. Um, so I can have a workspace to go in between the two, do what I need to get done. Um, that's it. I mean, there really hasn't been too much, although it was a whole lot of, a lot of happening with the move and then everything. And so it took a lot of time to process this and try to take a breath and, not get too overwhelmed because it was a lot of overwhelming stuff happening. So this is the setup for now. Um, Got to work on that, I guess. And more organization, get into more working. So that's it. It's not really exciting. There wasn't a lot to miss. Um, I just did want to shout out because we had a really the opens for the AWC, which is the Arena WoW Championships that was going on. There's the Cup 1 last weekend, and then Cup 2 is coming up this weekend. And so the kid came to us and said, I really want to sign up for this, and that's cool. I support that, but I felt kind of bad because we're not the best that could be. I mean, we're not bad. I'm not awful, but not like the best. And now when you go and sign up for championships like that and tournaments like that, you're up against like people that are pros, and this is what they do. This is their job. They do it for hours a day, and it's cool. I support people doing all kinds of non-traditional work to make money, and gaming has a really special place in my realm of existence because some days it's the world in general is a not great place sometimes, and it's sometimes people want to escape in different ways, and they want to be able to express themselves freely in a very different way. And sometimes gaming allows that. It allows you to not only escape from some shit that might be some really bad fucking shit happening, and it lets you escape that, even if briefly. And if it's used in healthy ways and stuff, then I think it's really good, and it can be a really nice outlet. And it also brings people together in ways that some kind of other community and online functions just like can't bring people together. They still can, bless the internet for that. So they still can bring people together, for the record. And this hasn't ever been mentioned before. I am a gamer, obviously, but I'm also an artist, and but I'm also a mom and a wife, and I met my partner gaming, and now we all game together. And we don't always game with the same games together, but it's really cool when we can mesh those games together and we can all come together. So that was kind of like the culmination of what happened, like in this AWC. We're playing on ladder, and that's basically just like a ranked ladder for anyone who doesn't play WoW. And you gain and lose rating depending on whether you win and lose. And you have your MMR where you're matched up against people who are supposed to be in the same kind of skill level. And then you have your current rating and all of that. And I know we don't have a lot of time to play. And so we just, like I said, because I have this is kind of all over the place, but I have a lot of thoughts and I haven't had time to really compose it. But because I have like the most awesome partner, I have to say, he's supreme. He's a god. Um, he spends all day working and taking care of us and doing everything that he can. And after work, then he spends, individual time with each kid to make sure that he gives them one-on-one attention. And so by the time it gets around to my attention, it's not the same. It's important for them to have that dad attention. Not everybody gets that kind of dad, and I'm so happy for them, and I'm happy as a whole family unit, especially when we can do stuff together and play together. And he's great. He's awesome. He's wonderful. So I'm really happy, and I willingly give up all of my free time one-on-one with him so that they can have that, because it's really important. But it's been really cool because some of that shared time we've been able to do, like, play threes games together, or play stuff together, and work that in there. And I've been able to have one-on-one time with one of the kiddos when we want to do, like, just twos games together. And last season I decided to finally, like, I haven't really done anything super multi-character in a really long time in the game. And I did, back in retail, I played like 4 characters up at max, and it was always a druid, always a healer. It's just that's the calling. And then it came to, I also had a warlock, and I had a priest, and then a warlock. My hunter was first, and they've always been kind of like my favorite 4. And so last season, I mean, in Legion, when the expansion for Legion came out, they had a thing called the Mage Tower, and it was a personal challenge. And it wasn't PvE. I mean, it wasn't PvP. It was strictly PvE. It was strictly just mechanics. And so I got a little obsessed with that when I was doing it. And there's past videos on the stream of where I was doing this, because for me, it was my most favorite challenge, because it was a personal challenge, and I had to, like, get good. If I wanted it, I had to get good. And so first I focused on my druid, and since I do like playing all roles of a druid, I was so happy to be able to do tanking and, cat damage and magic damage as a balanced druid, and healing. The healing challenge was phenomenal. But then, because I am a healer main, I decided it was really important to do all the healers too. So I did all the healing challenges after that, and I'm like, all right, let's go to the DPS. So I did all the DPS, and I did all the tanks, and by the end of it, I didn't really play all of Legion, so I was just playing at the very end of Legion, just because that's what happens when, you don't have a lot of time to devote to this. So it was like, I have a little time here, a little time there, and that's what I devoted to. So I had to try and prioritize it. And since I am super casual, and the highest raiding I do now is like looking for raid, if I just want to see the story and stuff and get the transmogs, I don't really care, is to do like, I mean, that was it. It was looking for raid. So, like, I didn't really have gear. I just really had to put a lot of practice in. And so I have some of the old clips of videos and stuff of where, like, I was doing it on my priest Shadow, which I, like, never played Shadow. I always played Disc from the very beginning of the game. I always just played Disc. And it wasn't until, like, last season in Dragonflight, second season in Dragonflight, I actually played Holy for the first time. I always played her Disc. And so this Shadow challenge was really stupid, and I made it, like, way harder than it had to be. I decided, in my great wisdom, to do this madness spec, where you basically have a window for some burst damage, and you literally will just die if you don't, like, within a certain burst amount of minute, if you don't keep up the stacks. Or I don't remember. It's been a good 7 years since I've done it, so I'm trying to remember. But it's a full gas, no brakes kind of spec, and you really have to time it. And so it was a lot of fun. But I remember one of the takes, and actually recorded it, where I just head desked it, literally, just laughing, because the boss was at 1%, and I failed. And I mean, I got it eventually, but I made it way harder for myself than I had to make it, which of course I would, because why not? I was just so stubborn and bent on getting it done that way. So I did healers, DPS, tanks, but at the end of it, since I didn't have a lot of time, I didn't have a lot of time in the day, and I didn't have a lot of time, to play, period, to prep, and all that. I ended up finally finishing leveling my DK, which is Death Knight. But I didn't end up getting able to do any of the DK challenges or the Demon Hunter challenges or the Warrior challenges. And I ended up doing one of the Rogue, and obviously it was combat. It's called Outlaw now, but back when I was playing, way back since vanilla, it was combat, and I wanted the Ghost Daggers really, really bad. So I remember like up all night, literally everybody else was asleep in the house. It's like middle of the night. Before Mage Tower went down for the last time before the new pre-patch for the new expansion, I was like, I'm gonna get these Ghost Blades, and I'm probably quite literally like the worst rogue in in all of any game ever. I'm like not really good at that, but it's we all have our strengths and weaknesses. It's okay, but I really wanted those Ghost Blades. I was pretty sad. I got them, but it was pretty sad when I went to go transmog them. I can only transmog the daggers on other daggers, and I don't really play with daggers now that even though I play Outlaw now on my rogue, I don't. So I just can't use them. But that's cool. It's cool. Or maybe it was Outlaw was maybe the Ghost Daggers were for a different spec. Maybe it was a different spec, and they don't. I don't remember what it was, but I can't use them out to Outlaw unless I'm equipped with daggers. Is a thing. So that must be. But anyway, oh well. So here we are to arenas, which is the next kind of challenging thing. And so it's been really nice. I swear it's going somewhere. Legion was personal challenges, and that's the last time I really pretty much challenged myself on a personal level. So then when we started to play Dragonflight again, it was season 2, which was last season. We're in season 3 right now. Season 2 was the literally first time we have played any organized PvP since TBC. And like at the time when we played in TBC, I think we peaked at like 2200 something. And I guess like at the time there were like cutoffs to Gladiator and they were close, but back then they used to do it by like a percentage. And if you didn't make the cutoffs, you didn't get Gladiator, so you got the one below it, and we were like Duelist. They've reformatted and rearranged and redone how they've given out titles and rewards and stuff over the years. So, coming back to Dragonflight, I guess it's changed again. I'm not quite sure when the last change was specifically, because they've changed it so many times. But now you have to hit a 2400 rating, and I think it's win 5 games to get Gladiator, but you can only do it in 3v3. But since we didn't really have a threes partner back in the day, I had a friend who we played with occasionally, but it was, like I said, it was really hard. It was really hard to coordinate back in TBC because my partner and I were not married yet, and we lived long distance away from each other, and I was a single mom. And so trying to schedule times to play with all of that going on was really hard. I didn't really think, it was awesome. And that, Duelist, whatever. I mean, I guess it's okay. I don't really know what that means. To me, it doesn't really matter in the greater scheme of things. I'm not competing with other people, even though when you step in the game, you are competing with other people. I don't honestly really care. My objective is not to beat other people past the fact that if you beat those other people, you win that game. My goals are completely different. My goals in any game I play is, number one, I gotta really like the rewards. It's got to be worth it for me. And a whole lot of my WoW game time comes down to, do I want the transmog? And that's literally it, which is so weird because the transmog is all about like stuff and the way that it looks, and that's just not how I generally am about in offline stuff. Like, I'm not about like, oh yeah, look at me, I got the most fashionable stuff and all this, but I like the transmogs because then I can make my characters look, they have different look, and I have different specs. They have different looks, and I have different max level druids that each have their own mogs for each form, because that's what I play for. That's what I really love to play for. But it's got to be fun. And PvE stuff kind of bores me once I got into arenas. The PvE mechanics just get boring to just do the same thing over and over again. And the thing I really like about arenas is when you get in there, you're not It's not going to be the same thing every time because it's a dynamic thing where you're playing against people, and they can make a mistake, or they could have a different strategy, or whatever. So you have to know your mechanics, and you have to know every class's mechanics, and then you have to adapt on the fly. So it was cool to get back into that. And when we got back into that at season 2, we had a huge, huge, huge learning curve to actually get back into that because we had not played since TBC at all. There was so many there were so many changes to the game. There's so much more CC added. There was so many more abilities added. It was like night and day, completely different kind of game. So eventually, when we got the goals of unlocking the mogs on our mains, I made a druid. He mains a warrior. It's not about a flavor of the month thing. Anybody can do that if they want. I don't judge. You should play what you want, and you should play what you have fun doing, and that's that. And people should really just shut up about the rest. But I play druid, and I've always played a druid. But then I started thinking, well, you can get the 1600 rating, and then you get a token. It unlocks a piece. And since I really didn't care about the helm for a lot of the pieces, I could unlock the shoulders. It's like I get most of that 1800 mog. And for me, not having a lot of time, I was like, that's pretty cool. I can try that. So that was my goal. And so then I did it with every healer. And by the time I got to the end, and I didn't have a max level preservation evoker because they were new in Dragonflight, I was like, damn. Guess I gotta level up that evoker. And I had been kind of a little hesitant about it since it was so different and it was new for me. So I leveled it up, and I ended up really enjoying it. It's probably like my second favorite healer, preservation. But I have a hard time saying second favorite because I really love my priest. Actually, I really like monk, although that kind of makes me feel dirty sometimes. I don't really love playing a paladin healer. I really love playing her as my tank, personally, if it's not a druid tank, obviously. So, I mean, I ended up doing it on the Prez too, and I got 1600, and that was my goals. And then I got 1600 on my Warlock and got 1600 on my Hunter. Those were all my 70s. I didn't have anybody else at 70. And since then, season and now season, the only other 70 I have is the Rogue, and there's no chance. It's just this season she's just 70, and there's no hope. There's no hope that she's gonna hit 1600 or anything. So I had the same goals going forward. At a basic level for season 3 was to get at least 1600, but go above and beyond. So the priest, I did get the full 1800 on because I wanted the full set this time. And because Andy was playing a shaman healer, which props to him, he's way better shaman healer than I am, although I did get my shaman to 1600. He wanted the full set too, so I played with my warlock with him, and I'm probably like the worst DPS. Although I love playing warlock and I love playing hunter. The rogue leveling up has been let me push this a little bit and play melee, since I do play melee in other games. Fallout 76, I play melee. Even though you actually probably gimp yourself in that game by playing melee, since so much of that is way easier to do if you play ranged, but whatever. I don't like farming ammo, so that's my problem with Fallout. And I hate farming ammo. I hate playing the game just to farm ammo, just to be able to play the game. I don't want to have to play the game to get ammo just to be able to play. So, and I really cannot express how much I love running around punching things to get that out in a game, in a safe place where I know this is not a real world and it's a post-apocalyptic wasteland, and I love building a beautiful house and decorating it, and then going and punching cars and making up the whole parking lot just blow up and see if I can do it in order. I know that's really random and weird, but it's a game and it's not real and it's not gonna hurt anybody. So in WoW, though, for some reason I can't play unless it's a Fury Warrior. I've been leveling my Fury Warrior up for a little while, and I haven't played her since BFA. So that's been a lot of fun. That's a lot of smashing. So the goal this season, in Season 2, was to get those 2s up, my healers up. And so I surpassed the 1600 goal on 2 of my characters that only got 1600 last. And now it's just basically get to Duelist just because I want the enchant. Really. We did get Duelist last season because I wanted the enchant, the Shadow Flame enchant, and I only use it on my Warlock because I've been Destro since the very beginning. I really do not like playing demo. I did it for the Mage Tower. I really don't love playing Affliction either. It feels really gross. I did play some arenas this season as Affliction. Um, it, I, it just kind of made me feel gross. Like I could just dot them all up and just watch them just wilt away and rot away. And I don't really love that. I've always loved playing Destro. I feel like I'm an unkillable fire mage when I play Destro. Speaking of mages, that was my biggest surprise to be able to get the Mage Tower done on, because I'm probably as bad of a rogue as I am. I'm probably even worse mage. But I did the Mage Tower all 3 challenges, which I still surprise myself. Like, did I do that? How did I do that? I don't even remember how I did that, but I did it. So it's cool. Personal accomplishments. I like that. That's something you can get when you do this. So season 2, we did get to the duelist. It was on my main, obviously. And so now that's the only other season 3 goal. Kiddo asked, hey, can we do AWC? And I was like, I mean, yes, because it's something that we can do together, and it's something that he wanted to do, and it's not something that he could like really do with someone else. So it was really cool to be able to be like, hey, yeah, sure. And so I wanted to talk about that experience a little bit. That was yesterday, and it was the qualifiers. It was the open qualifiers for Cup 2. I went in feeling like, I mean, I know we're not awesome, and they take a snapshot of the ladder, which is what your rating is, before you go to compete. And I know they were doing it the night before, and we hadn't really had a lot of time to practice. So we were practicing, and we probably like lost, gosh, we were closing in a 1900 rating, I think, when we started to practice. We dipped below 1800. So when we seeded pretty low. And it wasn't like it was just we were practicing. Win, lose, it didn't matter. We just needed the practice time in, and that was the best place to actually practice was on Live Realm. And we made the decision, despite the fact that we do multi-class. I do play all the healers, and I do play some DPS. And Andy does play a healer, and he plays multiple DPS specs. And our son mains one class, but he does play other specs too. And so we made the decision, despite the fact that we did multi-class, because we didn't get tournament access until the day before. And because we had only played up to like 1600 and 1800 on our alts, we felt like probably it was best to just pick what we were comfy at. And so that's what we did. We just went in with our mains, which was a Resto Druid and an Arms Warrior and a Ret Paladin. And it was a lot of fun, I have to say. Like the first team that we played against, we won in that series. It's the best out of 5. So first 3 wins takes that series. And it was a double elimination. So the first 3 wins were against another low-seeded team. And then I remember like looking and I'm trying to check in, and I don't even know what I'm doing. And I was so like nervous about the whole thing. Like, what if I mess this up and I don't report this right and we did this all wrong, and I'm going to mess this all up and my kid's going to be so mad at me because I'm going to be like the worst mom. And I didn't mess it up though. And then we decided to that we were going to do it anyway. So second, I go to get ready, and it's like, who are you up next against? And Andy's behind me. We share a big office together downstairs, our gaming office. And we each have our work offices. They're in separate rooms, so they're a little more private and quiet. But we share a big gaming office, so it's all us. And so if we're in a match and it's the 3 of us in a match, our daughter's there, and she'll like at the end of a game, like we'll be really frustrated, like, oh my god, and we just comms are going off, and we're just like, okay, do this, and we're coming back and forth, and then the game is over, and we're just like, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take a break, I'm gonna breathe, and she'll go, did you win? And I'm like, yeah, we won. And she's like, did you only get 13 points for that? The other night, and she said that, and it was the funniest thing, because it's like, yeah, it was a lot of work for 13 points. It felt so. But yeah, it was funny. So we were sitting there, and we're done with the first series of games, and Andy's behind me, and he says, we're up against Team Liquid next. And I'm like, fucking shitting me, right? Like, there's no. Why the fuck would we be seeded against Team Liquid? Like, what the fuck? Like, what? Why is that? We're not that. Like, that's not us. Like, I mean, we're not like the worst in the world, I guess. But like, yeah. So I mean, we lost, but I'd like to think we tried our best, and they were incredible. And I messaged um, one of them to tell them like, yeah, I mean, we're a family, and I wanted to really express how thankful I was that it was such a good experience because they could have been so different. And it's super important in this day and age where we're in a world where there's a lot of toxic fucking people all around. There's some really disgusting people, and they can attack you for being different. They can attack you for anything that they choose to attack you for, and they can make it so personal. And it's so refreshing and nice to be able to have a little escapism in a game and have fun, but then also come into contact with other people that don't have to be that way. So it was really freaking amazing, because they could have been like gross about it, and they're not. And it was really nice, and I very much appreciate that, not just as a fellow gamer, but as a mom who has a kid who watches them stream and watches them play, that there can be non-toxic examples out there of people that can be just be kind, even if they're not overly kind. They don't have to be like, here, have some frou-frou rainbows and puppy dog hearts and all that bullshit like that. They don't have to be like that, but they can just be a civil, decent person and just be a good person and not be toxic, and you can have a fun, enjoyable gaming experience. So shout out to them for being really freaking cool about that. Like, I thought we were going to get rolled, and if I'm being honest, probably they're not like trying very hard because they knew we're not like, we're not pro, obviously, by any scope of the imagination. I think last season, I think our peak was like 2K. And at the end of the season, we were just super frustrated. And it was really important to just take a break and not push. And since Andy already had Elite which was 2400, he already had that from Solo Shuffle. And our son already had, his duelist and stuff from Solo Shuffle. I don't play Solo Shuffle as a healer. It's too frustrating for me. I do play it, but then I really just don't want to ever play the game again if I play it too much. I just can't deal with that. I just don't have enough time in my day to make it worth it for me. And probably I'm just not that good, but I don't really care. I want my mogs, and I would prefer, if I'm gonna be working and have the frustrations of playing arenas, because sometimes it can be frustrating. So if I'm gonna deal with those frustrations, I'd prefer to deal with those frustrations and enjoy that time spent with people that I really care about, and we can enjoy it together and do that together. And so I don't solo shuffle. So I'm really glad that we have each other to play with. If I guess I'd have to play solo shuffle, just really want to. So yeah, but they made it great. And so we didn't really push last season at the end. And so I think we got I think 2K was our highest, and threes, just because, like I said, it was the end of the season. And especially when you're playing with your partner and your kid and you live together, you all work from home together and you homeschool and you're around each other, and we love each other fiercely and immensely. It's important to take a step back sometimes and realize that there's more important things than pushing things that can make people really upset. And so since they already had their duelist and Elite, I didn't yet. I kind of poked the partner, like, come on, I really need this. I really want this transmog, this weapon. I want it really bad this season, because it's the green dreaming thing. And I'm a hardcore sucker for the Emerald Dream and all of the Druid stuff. There's probably a video there that I uploaded to YouTube as well, where I just lost my mind in Druid geekiness in Legion over the Druid class hall. I still feel the very same way about it. So yeah, I really need this one. And so that's the goal now that the AWC is done for us anyway, because we lost to Liquid, and then we had another team that we fought, and we took that 3-0 as well. And then the next team we were up was a Rogue Mage Priest, which is pretty standard tournament fare. I mean, anybody that wants to kind of control the game and the pacing is going to play Rogue. And Mage, they have a lot of control and they have a lot of pacing on that. You could easily swap in like, a priest or a druid either way for the healer. I don't know. I can't think of something that wouldn't work with Mage Rogue, but I could be wrong there. Generally on ladder, I'm sure there are ways to counter them as our comp playing warrior, ret, and druid, but I'm probably just like not good, which I own up to completely. I make mistakes. We don't generally win against them. So when we saw them and that was our last series, I was like, great. And we were just demolished. I felt like we just got rolled, which was very disheartening, but it is what it is. And that's okay. So then it was like, we just went back to ladder after that. And we played way, way, way too many games working on the threes. But at the end of the day, we got to have fun. And I really wish it was a big shout out to Team Liquid. I'm a nobody. I'm not like a pro streamer. I'm not a famous streamer. I barely even stream. But a shout out to them. And I'd really like to put a big shout out to them and somehow, get them some kind of open letter. That was incredibly impressive to me, especially as a mom. Like I said, not just as a gamer, but as a mom to one teen boy and one pre-tween girl and 2 adult boys that I've been a mom to for 24 years now. I've been a mom. I appreciate the non-toxic attitude, and it was so cool, to see your kid get super excited when it's like, Sidhu's like, that's a badass name. And he goes, oh, Viking Ninja, that's a badass name. When you get a shout out from like Sidhu and you're 13, you're just like, yeah, that made my day. So, it was just cool. And to hear I went and watched their videos of when they were up against us later. And just the commentary was just awesome. And then the hearing them, the commenters in chat and stuff were really cool. Everybody was awesome. It could have been a way different experience, but fortunately, it was a very positive experience. So, I'm being sent messages. Kiddo talks in chat, and then he sends me a message. He's telling me I have viewers. I don't even know where to see any of that. So it shows me I have like 2 people or something on here. I don't even know what's going on. I have no idea what's going on. But it was super. I just have to say, like, so oh, okay. I see what he's saying. Okay, I'm not going to read his private text to me out loud. But that's cute. That's great. I think I got to get the new setup in here. It's kind of dark in here now. So, it's getting kind of dark. It's like the dark phase. So, yeah. I mean, that's another thing I guess I could talk about. It looks kind of bright here, but in the video, I gotta work this out. This camera on my laptop is probably like really bad, but I could probably take the camera from down in the office, down in my gaming office, and bring it up here and set it up. It's a better quality camera, and I can hook it up to the laptop and do that. I think because I'm not gonna really use a cam to stream if I'm gaming. I know some of the gaming streaming I don't really use comms just because it's easier for me to open my kit. And because the kids, like I said, we share space. and I appreciate um, that they should have their own privacy, and so their chat and conversations don't they don't have to be broadcast for the world. I really firmly believe that they should have their own privacy and be allowed to be kids. And so if I'm going to be talking, it's going to have to be in a place where I have a private place to talk where they're not brought into that. It's really important to me that they maintain that for themselves. So that, yeah. So, there's someone coming up and down the stairs. And I don't know if that's if anybody can hear that. I should probably close my door when I'm streaming, shouldn't I? Close the door and stick up a sign. Oh, what did that do? That's unfortunate. That looked like it froze for a second. Yeah, I see his chat, his message. That's that kid. That's the kid that plays with us, the seriousness. Yeah, low-seeded people typically get put against high-seeded people, so there's less likelihood that there's a major upset very early in the tournament. I mean, that's fair. I get it. I'm not too worried about it. I'm not bothered by it at all. It's all good. It was a good experience, and it could have been way different because there's a lot of people out there that are not so kind. One second. Okay, there you go. So yeah, I get it. And yeah, so the darkness. What do we want to talk about in here? So we moved from Florida to Delaware, and a lot of people wonder, why Delaware? Well, we fell in love. Okay, let me be specific. I fell in love with a house in Delaware. Um, and the moment I saw it, it was like a dream come true. And I couldn't believe that we could actually ever, like, I dreamed, like, for so many years, I wanted to, and this sounds so stupid, I wanted to live in New Orleans in the Garden District in one of those old mansions on the, like, not necessarily a mansion, but, one of those just pillars in the front house in the Garden District because I'm so in love with New Orleans, but it wasn't really something that was a feasible thing at all for us or for me ever. Um, but when I saw this house, I was like, holy smokes, that has got to be one of the. I fell in love. I fell in love. So we took like a really big chance and um, just put in an offer, and we had to sell our house for a lot to be able to afford it. Try and make it work. And then we came up here, and I probably talked about this before in one of the old videos. And we came up here to do a tour of the house and the area to see. It was like, is this really what we want? This is really different than what we've had. Um, and when we toured it, and I walked in and I stepped in, I was like, I feel like I'm home. Literally feel like I'm home. It's amazing. It's phenomenal. And I fell in love with it all over again. And seeing it in video and seeing it in pictures, there was literally no freaking way to even put it into words. There's no way to capture it. I just fell in love. So it's over 100 years old in the historic district, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done, which is kind of one of the things that was like kind of a shell shock. There's things that need to be done that are going to just take a lot of work. And so now that I'm able to walk a little better after the falling down the stairs incident last year, hopefully those things can get done. The bats were finally evicted, and we've got to clear up all the holes so that if they do happen to get into the outside, they can't get into the inside anymore. So that's the other thing that needs to be taken care of. And I have some recaulking and regrouting to do on some tile so that it's all, safer for, there's not water damage or anything like that. And in the process of really wanting to get back to work, I got a really nice series of photos taken in the spring, and I got a really nice series of photos taken in the winter, which is this whole thing here. It's dark. It feels really dark to me, but it doesn't really look dark on the screen. It's super dark. It's so different here. There's seasons. It's crazy. It's so weird moving from Florida where it's sunny and hot all the time, which, by the way, I miss the warmth a lot. So much. I miss the warmth. I'm so sick of winter right now. I'm just cold from my fingers to my toes all the time, and it's unfortunate. But it's gonna pass because that's how the seasons work, right? So, fortunately, winter's almost over. It'll be springtime again. The whole seasons thing is really cool. Like I said, I did a whole series of prints in the spring, and I did a whole series of prints in the winter of the snow. We actually got a good 7 inches of snow a couple of weeks back. And so I'm hoping that I can get those up. I've got to get the website redone. And I looked at a lot of different options, and a lot of those places that are selling, that I can sell prints from, they let you set up the shop online or whatever. The quality's okay, but they take so many of the fees just goes right back to them. And it's not about being able to put a product out that is affordable, because I could do it affordably, but like I would make nothing. And my time and energy is worth something, despite the fact that once I've created the art, past that, my time is worth something. So I'd like to get paid for my time, not just the art, but that's the whole point. It's like, why even bother doing this if I'm not going to, I mean, why would I even bother doing it if I'm not going to get paid? So I'm needing to redo, because like I said, anybody that does a job wants to get paid. You want to get paid what you're worth. And I'm worth being paid more than nothing. And if I go through one of those kind of sites, you get maybe a couple of pennies per print, if that, I think, when it comes down to it. And if you even want paid much more than that, you got to pay monthly fees and all this stuff. So I'm really looking forward to, since we've settled, I really am looking forward to setting that back up and setting a shop back up and setting a shop up, period, that's not ordered through, basically losing money in some cases. Once you pay the website fees and all these other fees, then are you actually even making any money at all, period, or you just, is it draining? And I really want to share things, but I also do feel like my time, effort, energy, and art, it's worth something, as everybody should feel that you have self-worth and don't sell yourself short. So I would love to share a lot of positive energy for free. It's always for free. I hope whoever's watching out there has a fantastic day. And I'll take that second to say positive, because we're in a world that can be not so positive, and there's a lot of suffering in the world around us. I hope that no matter what else you're doing, you're able to take a break, take a step back and say, hey, I'm worth it. I'm going to go for something really positive today. I'm going to focus on something positive today, and I'm going to try and make a difference if I can in a positive way to the people around me. So that's my goals moving forward. Since the seasonal changes and actually having a whole full year of seasonal changes, hopefully spring is soon, and it'll be warmer and it'll be brighter, and I can get new prints to add and hopefully brighten up people's day with it. Sorry. I didn't really know what else to say. I don't think we got anybody in chat. I don't really think I had any viewers, but it had been a really long time since I had did any updates, and it's just been upside down, crazy, and it's hard to be motivated when there's so much to take care of. But I was just thinking a lot about what happened yesterday, and again, I was super impressed by some people that did not have to. They didn't have to be that way. They didn't have to be super awesome about it, but they were, and that was pretty. That was pretty awesome. I think that was really great, and I appreciate the fact that they did that. It was super cool. So I think I'm gonna end it there because I don't really think I have anything else to talk about. Unfortunately, or fortunately, probably. I don't think I have anybody viewing anyway. So, um, but that's fine. I'm not. I wasn't really expecting it. Um, so I hope whoever is watching, when this message reaches you, I hope you have an excellent day, and uh, something positive happens for you, or you get something that you've been after. A good day, a goal that you've been trying to reach. I hope it happens for you, and I hope it's a positive thing, and I hope you have a nice, good rest of your day. And I'll end it with that, and hope everybody has a wonderful time, and I'll see you when I see you again.